And finally, we take you to Nashville, Tennessee, and the NASCAR Nationwide Series race where Pastor Joe Nelms delivers one of the most unusual pre-race prayers you will ever hear.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you've brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for GM Performance Technology and the R07 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. My two children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen.
That's how we do praying here in Nashville. Yeah. All right, everyone, listen up. We got a drawing. We got a drawing. Is it for a Kindle?
It's for a Kindle Touch.
All right, and I get to pick?
Robin's gonna pick it, so blame her.
Mix it up good. All right, and let me do this. So I'm not looking at all. I want to be fair. Right. Butch Cowart. Where's Butch? Do you have to be present to win?
Yes.
Where is he? Someone fill out a hurtful feelings report for him not being in the room. Where's Butch? Someone grab him. Should I pick another one? Must be. No? No? See, that's a good accountability group. Where's Butch?
Pick it and see who it would be.
Yeah. Then if it's me, I want to. Yeah, right. All right. Where's Butch? No? He's in the bathroom peeing. All right, well, I'm sorry, Carol. That's your winner is, he's busy. All right, so I like to bring to you not just people who are really sharp entrepreneurs, but also have something unique to help you be better as a person, as a family, as a human being. So I wanted to bring John. I've known John for a long time, John Elder. And just out of curiosity, how many of you have heard me talk about the Egoscue method? Like I say, oh, my Egoscue, that's it? I need to talk about it. I know I talk about it more. You're not reading my stuff. Who's reading my newsletter, for God's sake, right? Okay. Well, I'll give you a little background about John. When I came to Nashville, God, I've been working with you for 5.5 years. Well, I used to teach aerobics more than I do now. And I don't teach any now, right now. But when I was actively teaching all the time, I ended up with a chronic knee problem. And what was really frustrating about it is it was so painful that I couldn't do even the most basic things. I couldn't do squats. I couldn't do my spin classes. I was having to get subs all the time. It was so bad and so chronic. I went to the doctor. Doctor looks at it. And he can't find anything wrong, so he gives me some pain medications and he gives me physical therapy, right? So I'm doing the physical therapy and I'm taking these heavy pain medications, and about 1.5 months goes by and no change, right? So I go back to the doctor. I'm like, well, this is not working. I don't know what's going on here. They did like an x-ray and they look again and they go, we can't find anything wrong. There's like physically, you haven't broken a bone, you don't have any spurs, we can't find out what's wrong. So he gave me some new medication and some different physical therapy, and I did that for about 1.5 months, and still no change. And so I go back to the doctor, and I'm just utterly frustrated because I'm gaining weight. I can't even barely walk. And I said, we got to really get this. He says, okay, here's what we'll have to do. We're going to have to do surgery on your knee. And I'm like, whoa, you can't even tell me what's wrong. What are you going to do? What surgery are you going to do? And I got so frustrated, and I knew about the Egoscue method through Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was in a really bad car wreck at one point in his life, and he swears by Egoscue actually got him back to be able to be functional and perform on stage. Because when you're on stage 3-4 days in a row, it's physically taxing. And so I found out about it through him, and I was ready to go and drive. I found a clinic that was in Atlanta, and I was going to drive down there. I was just desperate. I didn't want to do surgery because I knew that I just kind of something in my gut was like, if you can't tell me what you're going to go in there and do, and you haven't been able to solve it up to now, then it's not working. So I found out, I called the Atlanta office, and they said, oh, well, we got an office now in Nashville, just opened up. So I go and I see John, and he's in a hotel room. That was his office at the time, right? And so it was a little weird, but that's okay. He's a good-looking guy, and I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? So nothing happened, all right? Clean it up, guys. And yeah, I know, I did start it. Anyway, so here's the honest to God true story. I mean, I had been physically in pain, unable to walk, unable to spin, unable to do anything for 3 months. I go and see John. He gives me a menu, and I do the menu. And the next day, I have no pain. And I thought, all right, it's my head. I mean, because you think, well, maybe I'm just having a good day, you know, or whatever. So I said, all right, I'm going to stop taking the pain meds. So I stopped taking the pain meds. And another day goes by, and I'm doing the menu, the exercises, and no pain. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. But I still don't believe it. I'm like, this is like, what do they call it, psychosemantic or something, you know, whatever that word is, you know. And I'm thinking, it's just in my head. So I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm getting on the spin bike. And I got on the spin bike, and I did 30 minutes. And I got off, no pain. And I was like, this is the coolest shit ever, right? And I mean, it was like, it really changed my life. Because if any of you have ever been in chronic pain, it is debilitating. And it's not just you can't do anything functional, but it's like that thorn on it's just constantly there. You can't think, you can't work, you can't perform, you can't move about freely. You're constantly having to adjust what you do and what you know, whether it's, you know, holding your kid or playing a favorite sport, and it constantly holds you back. And then you start telling yourself BS like, oh, I'm just getting old and that's just the way it's going to be. And you kind of give into it. And that's the worst thing ever, because that's when you really give up, and it's frustrating that way. So when I bring John to you, I'm bringing to you something that I'm telling you has literally changed my life. He has been a coach to me in this area. All through my pregnancy, John was like, I was in his office because, you know, as your whole muscular skeletal system is being shifted around and stuff like that, and he got me through it. I mean, I was doing some heavy speaking. I mean, you saw me at the Producers Club about a week before I gave birth, and I was absolutely I was fine. I was functional. I was able to walk around. I didn't feel tired, and I think that's a lot to do with what John has helped me with. So he's got a bio here. I'm going to just read a little bit of it because he's done a lot, but he's a certified postural alignment specialist. He's the owner and director of the Egoscue method of Nashville here. And as a Division I baseball player for Yale University, John spent years trying to rehabilitate from a chronic shoulder issue and a very painful lumbar disc bulge. So he's been in there. He had a bulging disc, and that's how he found Egoscue. After 2 years of physical therapy and 1 canceled surgery, John finally found relief from his pain after his first session with Egoscue and was an instant believer. And that belief and his dedication to help others become self-reliant to regain their lives and their freedom from pain, John switched to being from a client to being a therapist in 2005. So he's been a keynote speaker at the National Renal Alliance Conference here in Nashville. He's been in the Outer Loop Educational Study Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. He actually does travel around and do seminars on this. He's a TPI certified golf fitness instructor. So if any of you play golf and you want to have a better game, I know that's actually a big niche for John. He actually helps golfers improve their game because if their posture is correct, they can actually play a better game. And he's just, you know, he's a hottie. Look at him. I mean, like, you know. So, and by the way, all of you, we've bought a book for all of you called Pain Free at Your PC. So 1 per company. This is up here for you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. But keep that applause going because I'm going to bring John up to the stage.
Thank you.
All set?
Yeah.
All right, go for it, man.
Just to clarify, it wasn't in a hotel room. It was in a temporary office that looked vaguely similar to a hotel room. Well, good morning. How we doing? Anybody sore from that workout this morning? Yeah? Who all did the workout? All right. Yeah, you don't have to raise your arms. You can just nod. Well, it's a pleasure for me to be here today. I'm honored by what Robin said and what she spoke about me. Robin, I thank you. I don't take those words lightly at all. In just a second, I'm going to have us all stand up, but we got to kind of run through it a couple times because I want us to all stand up together at the same time. So I'm going to have you slide the chairs away from the tables. Make sure there's no laptops or, on your legs or hot coffee that can spill. Because this is going to be key that we all stand up together. So I'm going to run through it a couple times. On the count of 3, I want you to all stand up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, not bad. Good. Okay, have a seat. Have a seat. We're going to do it another time, another test run. 1, 2, 3. Oh, not bad. I got a straggler here in the front row. You can't sit in the front if you're going to be a straggler, man. That's for the back of the class. All right, go ahead and have a seat. Okay, now this time's for real. Okay? Now, Chris did this yesterday. I got to test this out a little bit. Is this just for you? No. This is nice. Okay, so on the count of 3, we're all going to stand up together. 1, 2, oh, come on. Now, I've heard about F-bomb Dan's a client of mine. That couldn't have happened at a better time. All right, 1, 2, 3. Now, stop. Now, I want you to imagine, some of y'all are laughing. I wasn't laughing. When I was 16 years old, you go to have a seat. I was 16 years old. It was a Monday morning, and I roll out of bed, and that's as upright as I can get. 16. The pain in my back and my lumbar spine was shooting electrical shocks down my butt and down the back of my legs, and I had no idea what to do next. Do I push through the pain? Do I stand up? Do I buckle to my knees? I was thinking that was going to hurt just as bad as anything would. So I did kind of what instinctively came next. I kind of painfully, excruciatingly, awkwardly kind of hobbled over to the stairs and informed my folks that I wasn't going to be able to go to school that day. It wasn't just a cop-out. I went to Yale. I was a pretty good student, so it wasn't like, But I informed them I wasn't going to be able to go to school that day. I fought back to tears, and I prayed, and I wondered, have I done something irreparable? Is this my health destiny? Is this how life's going to be forever? Because in that moment, that wasn't living. I'd been existing at best. I remember that Monday morning like it was yesterday. It sounds very cliche, I know, but it's true. I spent the next 8 hours flat on my back with my legs up in a chair at 90 degrees. That was the only comfortable position I could find. My parents immediately got on the phone with the Egoscue headquarters in San Diego, made appointments for myself and my sister for Wednesday of that week. We were going to be out there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We booked flights for the very next day for myself, my sister, my dad, and they started packing. I was still flat on my back. Walking into Egoscue on that Wednesday, I wasn't really sure what to expect. We'd actually only heard of Egoscue about 2 months prior to that. The sister who was with me on the trip was seeing an osteopath for some hip pain she was having. And the osteopath said, you really should check out this book, The Egoscue Method of Health Through Motion by Pete Egoscue. So she got it, referred it to us. We promptly bought it and put it right on the shelf. Like all good books, right? Until that Monday morning, we pulled it out, started reading through it. But I remember walking into Egoscue, and I'll remember that Wednesday for two different things, two things that stick out to me. Number one, Egoscue didn't treat me like I was broken. Because for the previous 2.5 years, I felt like I was broken. And my parents were certainly at a breaking point. We had basically, at that point, kind of tried everything. I had been in a back brace for 6 months. I had surgery scheduled to the age of 14. I canceled it the night before out of sheer terror and fear of what was to come. I'd done acupuncture, massage therapy, chiropractic work, you name it. I'd tried it. So after all that, I don't know if I should say lack of success, but things that didn't really work 100% for me, I wasn't really sure what to expect walking into Egoscue. But they instilled in me a hope that I wasn't broken, that my body was made to move. They knew that, yes, I had back pain, but they didn't really believe I had a back issue, which for me was a game changer. That was big. Because I'd been told for 2.5 years, well, you got a back issue, you got a bulging disc. They were more worried about why I had the bulging disc. So they instilled in me that I wasn't broken. So we went through the appointment, leave the clinic. We're sitting at dinner that night, and that's the second thing I remember is dinner that night. Now, my friends know me, they know that I love to see new cities by eating my way through them. Okay, my wife and I just went to Chicago, and we ate our way through Chicago. We've been to New York, and we ate our way through New York. But at dinner that night, I actually don't remember what I had for dinner. What I do remember is my dad kind of taking inventory. That's what I like to call it. They just bought 3 flights on a day's notice, therapy for me and my sis, transportation, car, food, hotel, et cetera, everything that goes into traveling, except now it's amplified because it's on a day or 2 notice. So my dad's kind of taking inventory, going, okay, did this work? Did this pay off? And I remember looking at my sister, and she kind of looked at me, and we went, do you? No. Do you? No. I kind of moved around in my chair and kind of twisted and torqued, and I couldn't really find any pain. She did the same, kind of twisted, torqued around, and couldn't really find any pain. I kind of twisted harder and a little more vigorously, and couldn't really find it. For the first time in 2.5 years, I was what I considered to be pain-free, and I knew right then and there that I'd found my cure. I knew it. Now, I know there are probably others in the room who can relate. I know Dan can relate. Now, some of you may not be able to relate. So just out of curiosity, how many of you are doing all the activities you'd like to do without any pain, limitations, no hesitations whatsoever? Wow. Good on you. How many of you are getting not only the most out of your bodies, but the most out of your employees with 0 lost man hours due to chronic pain? A couple of you? Okay. And how many of you are living up to 100% of your potential 7 days a week? Nobody. I knew we'd scale that back. Now, obviously, these are kind of some rhetorical questions, some facetious questions. Let me see if I can hit a little closer to home. How many of you can't play with your kids or grandkids because of your pain? 1. All the rest of y'all are lying, 2. How many of you can't do your job, can't run your business because you can't sit at your desk all day without getting back pain or because of that migraine that comes on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon? How many of you aren't happy with the way you look or the way you feel because you can't get to the gym to work out because of the knee pain or because of the hip pain? Okay? Now, most importantly, how many of you believe your biography is your destiny? That the past equals the future, that this is the way you've always felt, so naturally, this is the way it's always going to be. Something to think about while I'm up here talking today. Now, I love talking about the method. As Robin said, this is not my first rodeo. She mentioned the National Renal Alliance. I've done breakout sessions at AFPA, Outer Loop Education, which is a study group for dentists, presented to them in Charlotte. Schools, workshops, health seminars, you name it, I've talked to them. I love it. I love presenting about the method. How many of you are brand new to the method? You're not reading Robin's newsletters. You've never heard about us. First time you've ever heard about the Egoscue method. I love it. I love having newbies. I love having rookies. I love it. I've been fortunate enough to, over my 7 years as a therapist, work with Tennessee Titans, PGA professionals, politicians, physicians, dentists, stay-at-home moms, weekend warriors, Olympic athletes. You name it, we've seen it. My youngest client I've had in clinic was 21 months old. Oldest client I've had was, when I saw her, was 96. She's now 98. So if you think, well, I'm too young, I don't need to get that started yet, or, oh man, I'm too old, I got one foot in the grave, I can't change, right? I don't think I see anybody younger than 21 months old, and I don't think I see anybody older than 98. Is anybody older than 98 in here? You can be honest. No? So if you're older than 21 months old and younger than 98, chances are we can help you. My oldest active client's 92 in April. I see him every 2 weeks. He told me the other day, he's a Southern lawyer. I did my menu every day, 4 days a week. Okay. Like, wait, carry the one. All right, Jack, whatever. That's fine. I've worked with clients in about 30 states. We do a lot of therapy on Skype, and Skype, iChat, stuff like that, right up your guys' alley. Worked with clients in about 30 states, and about a half dozen countries as far away as South Africa. I have to say, to date, about 7 years, coming up on 7 years next month of being a therapist, I've yet to really see anybody who this method can't help. I wanted to highlight a couple of them for you. I know Robin kind of told you her story. A couple of my favorite clients, I'll call Scooter my vice president of marketing. I think you all know who my president of marketing is. Scooter's my vice president of marketing. If you live in Tennessee and you've ever gotten a call from Scooter, chances are he's asking you for money. Scooter's what I call my political financial guru. He was the chief finance. This is Fred Thompson on the left. He was in the presidential race in 2008 when Scooter was with him. When he dropped out, he went on the McCain-Palin ticket and was their chair of finance for fundraising. Very active schedule, very busy schedule, especially during the election year for him. He had back surgery about 6 months prior to coming to see us and was still in pain. He came kind of kicking and screaming. I'll tell you, if you can guess who brought him. His wife. Like a good husband, he was listening to his wife and said, okay, honey, I'll go. His life was changed. He left basically pain-free that day, was contemplating 2 more steroid shots, and a second surgery. And he not only canceled those, but they've never been a thought in his mind since then. Claire Glass, yes, that's her name. Claire Glass is a massage therapist. She's the proverbial shoe cobbler whose kids have no shoes. She's the massage therapist who couldn't work on herself. I don't know if you've ever tried to massage your own back. It doesn't work as well as when you can just lay down for an hour and a half and let somebody else do it for you. Claire was getting to the point where her pain was actually impeding her ability to earn a wage, her ability to work and service her other clients. She came to see us, and within just a couple weeks, she says here, she knew exactly this is exactly where she needed to be. Oop, the wrong way. Peter Scott, self-professed avid outdoorsman. Peter came to see me with scoliosis a couple of months before he was taking a fishing trip to Costa Rica with his buddies, in a lot of pain, and was really worried about having to spend 72 hours on a boat, eating, sleeping, fishing, everything on a boat for 72 hours. Not only was he pain-free, but he sent me his testimonial along with this picture when he got back and said, this is the first time I've felt this good in 15 years, and the prize of my trip was a 250-pound marlin I caught on a fly rod that took me 2 hours to get to the boat. Pain-free. This is one of my dreams, by the way. If any of you want to take me fly fishing in Costa Rica for marlin, we can talk afterwards. Carrie Greenway, Olympic caliber marathoner. I don't know if you know anything about the U.S. Olympic time trials, but you need to be in a 2 hours and 45-minute shape to qualify for the U.S. time trials. You need to be able to run your marathon in 2 hours and 45 minutes. Carrie was in 2:50 shape. Absolute stud runner. The only problem was she couldn't run. She had what she would call kind of a dead leg. She could run 40 minutes, then she'd have to stop, shake out the leg, catch up with the pack, run 40 minutes and more, stop, shake out the leg. It was kind of a lather, rinse, and repeat cycle for her. At the end of the second week of Egoscue, she was running 50 minutes with no deadness. At the end of 3 weeks, she had no deadness at all. A side note to Carrie, she didn't get to realize her marathoning dreams because about 8 weeks into Egoscue, she got pregnant after being married for 7 years with the inability to conceive because of the position of her pelvis. Everything's related. The body's a unit. So she came to me about 8 weeks into doing Egoscue and goes, first time in 7 years. Thomas and I, we've never prevented a pregnancy. We've never tried to get pregnant. We just said, if it happens, it happens. I said, there's a reason it hasn't happened. Because if I'm playing darts a few times a week for 7 years, I'm going to hit a bullseye. There's a reason. That'll sink in about 2 o'clock. There we go. There's a reason. My wife just buried her head in her hands. There's a reason why she wasn't getting pregnant. And we at Egoscue believe the body's connected. And so I believe her inability to conceive was directly connected to her inability to run. Now here's my president of marketing. You guys know her. She just told her story. One of the things that I appreciate most about Robin is that she works with the best of the best and the cream of the crop. Not only with you guys, but who she seeks out in her own life. And that's exactly what she was trying to do with her knee. I'm not saying I'm the best of the best or the cream of the crop, but she had pretty much exhausted all options prior to that. So then she came to Egoscue. You guys know the rest of the story. She was actually one of my very first clients I saw. I saw her on a Friday. It was either the first or second Friday I was open. I don't even know if I really knew what I was doing at that point. I don't really care. It worked. Cool story. I love hearing Robin's story. And I'm not telling, I'm not saying this stuff to brag, to toot my own horn. I'm telling you that we see I'm sharing these stories because I just want you to know we see a wide spectrum of clients, 21 months to 98 years, male, female, athlete, non-athlete. And I'm telling you this because just like Uncle Sam, okay, I want you to be our next testimonial, not so that I can get up here and present your story, but so that you guys have a story to tell. Just like Robin, so you can go change lives, because I believe my story as a client has now opened doors for me to share that story and inspire others and let them know that they're not broken. Your body can heal itself if we just give it a chance. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Today we're talking about the 3 things you have to do to get the most out of your body and the connection between posture, pain, and performance. Egoscue is a posture company. And if you don't take anything else away from today's seminar, I want you to know that it's an easy approach to the body. Pete Egoscue was suffering from neurological pain in his left hip and back from an injury that he sustained in Vietnam. We're actually inches away from not having a method at all because the Viet Cong's gun, AK-47, jammed, which back in late 60s, early 70s, the AK-47 was one of the most reliable machine guns, weapons around. It never jammed. It jammed. Pete was able to grab his weapon, and here we are today. In the process, he took on some shrapnel. Pete was laying in the infirmary, kind of just laying there relaxing. Soldier right next to him had 2 doctors who were talking about the soldier. They didn't know Pete was awake, and one of the doctors turned to the other one and he said, you either get better or you die. And that was Pete's light bulb moment. That was his aha moment. He said, you know what, you're right. Right here, right now, I got a choice to make. I can either get better or I can die. Pete chose to get better. He bought a copy of the book Grey's Anatomy long before it was a hit show on ABC. Okay? It's been around a lot longer than Meredith Grey has. Bought a copy of Grey's Anatomy, started looking at the pictures in the book going, man, I should look like that. And I look in the mirror and my shoulder's in my ear and I'm rotated and my feet point out but not in the same direction. And I wonder if there's a posture pain connection. So over the course of the next year, he was his own guinea pig. He's self-taught. That's what I love about Pete. He had a mission. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get myself out of pain. I'm going to prove these doctors wrong. And he did. He got himself out of pain in about a year. Fast forward 41 years later, Pete is what I will describe to you as the world's leading anatomical functionalist. He's worked with the likes of Jack Welch, Tony Robbins, Jack Nicklaus, Nike. He's being sought out by the best of the best. And it all started because he was basing his belief off of this design blueprint. How many of you can say that you look in the mirror and you can look like this guy with your head centered right above your level shoulders, right above your level hips, on top of symmetrical knees and ankles with your feet pointed dead ahead? What we call the 90-degree rule. 90-degree rule. How many of you can follow that? Good. Nobody. From the side view, we should look like this. You should see your ear on top of your shoulder, on top of your hip, your knee, and your ankle. I don't think too many of us look like that either, myself included. I'm not pointing fingers. So when we talk about posture, we want to talk about and asking the question, what is it? Maintaining structural integrity regardless of position. I don't care if you're sitting in a chair, swinging a golf club, gardening, picking up your kids or grandkids. Can you maintain structural integrity? Posture gives us a snapshot of function, dysfunction, and compensation. What works, what doesn't, and what's working in place of. We all have one design. It's a functional design. There are no design flaws in the body. I 100% believe that. And your body was made to move. So for those of you where movement hurts, it may be kind of hard for you to fathom that. But if you can think it, you can do it. If you can fathom doing a back bend or a bridge, you're designed to do a bridge. You just are. So if that's good posture, that means that poor posture is the faulty, I'm going to just read this off because it's a bunch of words that may not make sense, but I'll explain it to you. Faulty relationship of the various parts of the body which produce increased strain on supporting structures and in which there's less efficient balance of the body over its base of support. What's that mean? It means your body's connected. If your shoulder goes out of position and it starts to rotate forward, something else has to compensate. There's going to be undue stress on a different part of the body, which is going to result in you being out of balance. So as we're relating it to pain, pain is quite simply your body's response to an altered posture. It's that simple. We look at it as a posture problem. You may have a degenerative knee. You may have bone spurs in your heel. You may have a cervical neck bulge, but it's only the body's response to an altered posture. If we simply treat the pain, we've done nothing to improve the posture. If we focus on the site of the pain, we've lost track of the source of the pain. We've treated the effect and not the cause. So how do we eliminate the cause? We're going to start talking about the 3 things you have to do. The first thing we have to do is change your mind. We have to take you from what's wrong with me to what's my body trying to tell me. Your body's just trying to tell you something. We've got to take you from the old paradigm, MRIs, X-rays, CT scans, everything that's looking for what's wrong, to the new paradigm. That's the Egoscue paradigm. That's getting to the why. To do this, we got to identify your postural imbalances. Now, I know you all have them, whether you raised your hand or not. Some of you said you may have looked like that guy in the slide a couple slides back, perfect posture. All right? I know you all have them. So we're going to find out. So I want everybody to slip your shoes off for me. We're going to find out who showered after the workout. We're going to find out who has that just horrific foot odor. There's somebody in the room right now going, oh, crap. Okay, now I want you to stand up. Doesn't have to be at the same time. Just stand up. And we're going to start to talk about some of your imbalances. Now, we can put all of you into one of 3 categories. Condition 1. Condition 1 is going to be an anterior or a downward tilt to the pelvis, knees and feet pointing out, shoulders kind of rounded forward, head in the next county. Okay? That's our condition 1. Condition 2 is any type of rotation, shoulder rotation, hip rotation, any type of asymmetry in the upper or lower limbs. Condition 3 is a posterior pelvis, kind of tucked under. Guessing quite a few of you look like this condition 3 just because of the amount of sitting you do all day. We're seeing more and more and more of this condition walking into our clinics every day. The past 10 to 15 years, condition 3s have come into our clinic exponentially faster than any other condition that we see. Shoulders rounded forward, head in the next zip code, feet and knees pointing out to the side. Okay? So we're going to start to identify some of your imbalances. Now, I talked about Claire earlier, the massage therapist. Claire's a condition 3. And when Claire came in to see me, I said, Claire, just out of curiosity, how long your doctor had you taking no acetol? She kind of looked at me. She goes, what? I've never even heard of that. What are you talking about? I'm not taking that. I said, are you sure? Your doctor, he hasn't prescribed no acetol? She said, no, why? I said, well, Claire, you have no ass at all. I said, you're completely tucked under. You've completely lost your butt. And she started laughing, and, it was a calculated risk, but it was a risk nonetheless. She was a new client. She could have punched me in the face and run out of my clinic screaming and crying, but, I figured, oh, what the heck. So this is our no butt disease, NBD, no acetol. So I want you guys to kind of spread out for me. You may have to kind of stagger a little bit. If you can get about an arm's distance between each other. And I want you guys to close your eyes. And we're going to kind of tune in. Close your eyes and tell me where you feel the weight in your feet. How many of you feel heavier on your right foot? Okay. Now, I don't know, I can't tell, and I'm not sure, are not allowed in my clinic, and they're not allowed here either. So how many of you are heavier on your right foot? Okay. How many of you are heavier on your left foot? Okay. How many of you feel on your left foot you're heavier on your heel compared to your toe? Okay. How many toe versus heel? Okay. Let's go to the right foot. How many of you feel heavier on the toes of the right foot? Okay. What about the heel? Okay. Let's go back to your left foot. Outside versus inside. How many of you feel more pressure on the outside of your left foot? Inside of your right foot? Left foot. That's what I meant. Okay, let's go to the right foot now, correct? Outside of the right foot. Inside of the right foot. Good. Okay, so we all have imbalances. You guys can open your eyes now, excuse me. Now, I want you to bring your feet and point them dead ahead. If you're standing on the face of a clock, the toes should be pointing right at 12. So some of you are going to feel pigeon-toed, and you're probably going to look pigeon-toed. I actually want you a little bit pigeon-toed. Now, I want you to squeeze and release your glutes, your butt. Crack a walnut. Chew gum, but don't blow bubbles. Squeeze and release your butt. How many of you are having trouble even finding your butt? Now, come on, show of hands. Let's go. I'm outing you all right now. Seriously, how many of you are having trouble kind of accessing those muscles? You may or may not be able to squeeze them real well. How many of you feel an intensity difference? Left side squeezing like crazy and right side doesn't know what in the heck it's supposed to be doing. How many of you feel, or it could be vice versa as well, how many of you feel a timing difference? Left, right, left, right. Keep squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Keep going. Left, right, or right, left. Okay. I want you to keep this foot position. I want you to bring the hands into what we call the golfer's grip. So I'm going to have your hands down by your side. I'll demonstrate it up here. The fingertips curled into the top of the palm. So I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I want to see your palm. Okay? Hands down by your side, thumbs facing the front, facing me. I want you to glide your shoulder blades together. Take the arms out to the side. Good. Keep your stomachs relaxed. How many of you had your stomachs tight? Why? Huh? Because you can see me, she says.
All the other ladies did it. They just weren't going to say it.
That's very true. What's your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, you get another free book in the back. Thank you for your honesty, Jennifer. All right, we're going to do arm circles. I want 40 forwards. 1, 2, 3. Good. Keep going. 10. Halfway there. 30. How many of you are really regretting that workout you did this morning? And 40. Good job. Let your arms relax. I'll give you a little bit of a break. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go backwards. So I want you to glide your shoulder blades together. Take the arms out to the side. Let's go palms up. Good. And backwards, up and back, 40 times. Good. Tom can do one arm. 20. We need to talk later. 30. 8, 9, 40. Good job. Good job. All right. Relax the arms. Now, I should say, all kidding aside, if you do have some shoulder issues, you may not be able to do these to the full extent that your coworker, your peers are doing it. That's okay. Same grip with the hands. I want you to bring the knuckles to your temples. If you have glasses on, you may need to take your glasses off. You may not. But we're going to go from here. I can't do it in a coat. Take my coat off. We're going to go from here to here. Elbows touching directly in front of the face. And the crowd said, yeah, right. Okay, 20 times. And I haven't been counting, so you're on the honesty you're on the honor program. 20 times. Get those elbows as close together as you can and as far apart as you can. Full range of motion. You all right, Tom? We'll talk later. We'll talk later. Okay. 20 times. I don't know how many you've done. 3 more. We'll call it good. Okay. Now, last exercise we're going to do, I want you to interlace your fingers. Say, Lord, forgive me for going into IT. Kidding. I mean, you can say that if you want. Push your palms down to the floor. Try to get your elbows straight. Keep your elbows straight as you bring your, I should have just left this thing off. Keep your arms straight as you bring your arms straight up overhead. Go as high as you can without bending the elbow. So if you hit a point where you feel like you start to bend, or if there's a range of motion limitation, just stop where it's comfortable and hold right there. In the blue shirt, bring your arms down just a little bit. And now push your elbows towards each other. Way better. Perfect. Stomach's relaxed. How many of you had them tight again? We're going to hold this for about another 30 seconds. I'll tell you my theory on tight stomachs. They look good on the beach. But if I ask you to tighten your bicep as hard as you can and walk around like that for a month, you think I was crazy? And you'd walk out of the presentation. You're not going to do it with your bicep. Why are you doing it with your abs? Take a break. Whoop. Had it in my pocket. That was your work? Yeah. How many people feeling a little bit worked out? Okay. Now, squeeze and release your glutes again. Same neutral foot position. Toes a little bit pigeon-toed. Who said it? What'd you say? It's easier. It's easier. How many of you feel it's better? Okay. Now, march up and down 4 or 5 times. Just come back to your natural, neutral, normal standing position. Close your eyes for me. Tell me where you feel the weight in your feet. Better. All right? Okay, go ahead and have a seat for me with your eyes open. Please put your shoes back on. Because, you know, the heat that's on this stage, it's not good. It's not a good combination. Now, how in the world, how is it possible that we did 3 exercises that were basically focused on your shoulders, and we not only got your glutes to fire better, but we changed the weight distribution in your feet for 85 to 90% of the room? How is that possible? Who said it? Straightening the spine? Absolutely. Foot bone's connected to the leg bone. All right? You guys remember that old song? It's a two-way street. Leg bone's connected to the foot bone. All right? But we take it a step beyond that. The shoulder bone's connected to the backbone, to the hip bone, to the leg bone, to the foot bone. So this is exactly where we have to take our clients when we want to get them to change their mind and start thinking, instead of what's wrong with me, what's my body trying to tell me? We have to first identify their postural imbalances. I told you, you all had them. And now we've improved upon those. So now that we've identified that you do, in fact, have some postural imbalances, now we need to get specific to you and your body. So here's where we really kind of get to work. We want to look at your function, what's working, your dysfunction, what's not working, compensation, what's working in place of. We got to see how all of those components add up together to equal pain. And I think the last demonstration we did just proved that for those of you with a lower body symptom, knee pain, ankle pain, plantar fasciitis, degenerative hip, we can't forget about your upper body. And for those of you with an upper body symptom, carpal tunnel, neck pain, migraine headaches, we can't forget about the position of your knee. We can't forget about your lower body. By the way, how are these chairs feeling now? Whose chair feels more comfortable? You guys know who made these chairs? The lowest bidder. I heard Andrea talking to one of the guys at the last break. I agree. These chairs are garbage. Sorry, Marriott. They're garbage. They're made by the lowest bidder. Now, if we can do 3 exercises geared to your shoulders and make a piece of crap chair feel better, how much better are you going to feel once we get more specific for you and for your body and actually tailor it to you? Not to mention those of you who have $1,000, $2,000 or more ergonomic chairs at your office. How much better are you going to feel in a $2,000 chair? I think it's going to be a pretty remarkable difference. So it's starting to make sense why we have to change your mind from what's wrong with me to what's my body trying to tell me. Because there's a difference. Next thing you got to do is change your actions. Let me ask you a question. How many of you guys have taken your car into your mechanic because your right front tire is going bald? Or a tire, all right? We've all had a bald tire. And how many of you said, hey, Joe, I want you to change the tire, but don't worry about the alignment. Don't worry about the cause. Why do we do it with our cars and not with our bodies? Why are we so much better at it when it comes to auto mechanics than when it comes to biomechanics? We have to start changing the action. To do this, we got to get personalized to the why. We have to develop a series of exercises for you. And going back to that car analogy, if you're bone on your knee and your doc has recommended that, Steve, you really should have that thing replaced, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. What I am saying is having that knee replacement could potentially be similar to just changing the tire. 6 months later, you're back in your mechanic shop going, Joe, why didn't we take care of the alignment 6 months ago? So with that knee, a year, 2 years, 5 years, a decade down the road, when your other knee starts to hurt, or your opposite hip, or you get a rotator cuff impingement, you can't type at your desk and you can't answer the phone without grimacing because we've just changed the bald tire. We have to get to the why. We got to implement the E-sizes daily. Rome was not built in a day. You didn't get into this position overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. It's a process. And we have to change the E-sizes accordingly. And this is no different than any other workout that you would do. If y'all wanted to run the country music marathon in April like Robin's doing. Right? Yeah, right? You're running the country music marathon?
Yes, in April. Yep.
Good on you. So let me ask you a question. Are you going to train for that by running a mile every day? No. You're going to change it up, right? You're not going to step on the starting line at the country music marathon at the end of April for the gun to go off and you've run a mile every day for the last 4 months. You're not going to do it. You're going to change your exercises accordingly. Take a look at this picture. This is a client from one of our other clinics. Slight scoliotic curve, right? Obviously, she came in, she actually has very little to no pain. I know she's tough as nails because she's birthed 3 kids on this spine. Way tougher than I am. You can't see because her face is blacked out, but she's wearing full makeup. She's got a belly button ring. She's dressed cute, nice. Okay, she's very image conscious. She's sick and tired of walking around crooked all day. Now, if we just treat her spine, if we just change the bald tire, I believe we're doing her a huge disservice. We're wasting her time, her energy, her money, my time, my energy. Instead of just treating the bald tire, instead of just treating the spine, we went after her shoulders, her hips, her knees, and her ankles. We noticed that her right shoulder's up in her ear, that her left hip is elevated, that her feet point out, but her right foot points out just a little bit more than her left foot does. And her feet point out, but her kneecaps point in. Left foot's hard internal, or left femur, left knee's hard internal. So that's what we look at. And as a result, she walks out of our office about an hour and a half later looking like that. Now, wouldn't you agree that if the exercises that we gave her on day 1 were geared towards the posture on the left, that if she continues to do just those exercises and she doesn't get them changed, she's not really making any gains, right? The more and more she holds the position on the left, my left, your right, the more that the exercises based on that first posture become increasingly irrelevant. So we got to change the exercises accordingly. Here's another picture. The lighting's a little off, but this is a before and after of one visit with a 80-something-year-old rice farmer in Japan. We have 2 or 3 clinics in Japan, and she spends, if you can't tell, the majority of her day in this position, harvesting rice. Excruciating back pain that we didn't treat. We didn't treat the symptom, we treated the source. Shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, the body's a unit. Yes, she has back pain. She doesn't have a back issue. She has a pretty significant posture issue. And as a result, she leaves a couple hours later looking like the picture on the bottom. Now let's take back pain out of it for a second. Think about how she has impacted her life beyond just from a physical pain point of view. Think about how efficient or lack of efficiency, we're getting out of her respiratory system, her circulatory system, her digestive system. If she were in her 20s, 30s, or 40s looking to have a kid, her reproductive system, adrenal, lymphatic, immune, et cetera, et cetera. We're setting her whole body up for success because we've treated the cause and not the effect, the position, not the condition. So we've changed your action, or changed your mind, changed your actions. Now we have to change your habits, and this for me is the key. I love this quote by Jim Ryan: "Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going." In case you don't know who Jim Ryan is, he's a fellow Kansan. Anybody from Kansas? Right. He's a fellow Kansan. He was the first high schooler to break the 4-minute mile mark. First high schooler to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. What you may not know about Jim Ryan is that he did it his junior year of high school. He subsequently broke it again multiple times his senior year. So I believe his motivation is what got him started. He had a goal. Pain's a motivator, y'all. It was for me. He had a goal. But once he reached it, he could have just as easily kicked back, hands behind his head, feet up on his school desk, and said, "I'm so good." But he didn't. His habit is what kept him going. His habit is what allowed him to, some 45 plus years later, still be the holder of 5 of the top 6 fastest high school mile times. 45, 46 years later. His habit is what kept him going. To do that, once we eliminate your pain, now is when we get to work. Once the motivator is out of the way, pain's a motivator, we've gotten your pain taken care of, now we can change the root dysfunction. Now we can get to the cause. We then got to restore full range of motion to all your load joints. And we have to educate you and put control of your health back in your hands so that when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you realize your right shoulder's starting to creep up a little bit, you can recognize that as a new issue and you begin to be proactive rather than reactive. Now, for me, implementation is the key, but I think there are 2 big things standing in your way. Number 1, you're not an experienced exercise therapist, nor do I expect you to be. I'm not going to try to set up a server. I know nothing about cloud computing except that it's a word. It's 2 words. Did I tell you I went to Yale? Tells you about their admissions process. But you're not an experienced exercise therapist. I'm not going to try to be an IT guy, nor would you want me to. Y'all would lose customers if I tried to do your IT stuff. You can ask my wife about that. And you don't have time to figure out what your body's doing. As much as I would love it if you guys would spend 6 to 8 hours a day with your own copy of Gray's Anatomy, studying function and posture and anatomy and physiology and biomechanics, et cetera, gait analysis, I'm not expecting you to. So I'm not up here today to give you a hard sell. I know that's not what we're here for. My goal here today is to educate you guys. If you're interested in continuing therapy, we do a lot of stuff by Skype. So you guys may be sitting there thinking, this is great, but I live in Minneapolis. That's all right. We can do it via Skype. You can ask Dan about that. We can do everything that we do in clinic, postural assessment, gait analysis, functional testing, take you through your exercises. We can do everything on Skype without you guys ever having to leave the comfort of your home or office. It's pretty stinking cool. Because Robin asked me to come up here today, I wanted to do something for you guys. For Robin's members, we have an 8-session package. We find that after about 2 months, we should be kind of headed in the right direction. So we're going to see about once a week. If it's something you're interested in, it's about $2,000 worth of therapy. We package it in the clinic at $1,495, but for you guys, we're going $1,295. I'll be in the back. If you're interested, come talk to me. I got myself, one of our other therapists, my wife, we're all back there. One book, the Pain Free Your PC book is here for you guys to come get. We ask one per business, okay, because I know there's some doubles here, doubles or triples, some staffs here. We got other books back there for you too. We do have a little bit of time left. If you guys do have Q&A, I don't know how you want to do it, Robin, but
questions, come up to the mic.
Just please, don't let this be you, okay? Don't let this be you. This isn't a comment on evolution, okay? It's not a commentary on evolution. I'll leave the contact number up here. I expect to have about 150 new Facebook fans and Twitter followers in the next hour or so. Go ahead.
Two questions.
Okay.
Is your book in an ebook?
It's on Kindle.
Okay.
Pain Free is on Kindle. I don't know if Pain Free Your PC is on Kindle.
Okay. And second, how does this is differ from what a chiropractor would do?
Great question. Who else was thinking it? Yeah, great question. I'll kind of hit two professions at once. We get the chiropractor question a lot, we get the physical therapist question a lot. 90% of the time, you can speak to this a little bit. The physical therapist is going to treat the side of the pain. That was Robin's experience for 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, whatever it was, of knee pain. She goes in, doc goes, physical therapist goes, well, you got knee pain, let's treat it. Let's change the bald tire. Let's operate. She goes, you got to tell me what's wrong first, man. So that's how we differ from physical therapy, site of pain versus source of pain. We know that the body's a unit. The knee hurts, but you have an ankle sitting below it, you have a hip sitting above it, you have a whole upper body, you got a right shoulder, et cetera, et cetera. Chiropractors, us and chiropractors have a very similar approach to the body. We want to get your body where it needs to be. We follow the premise that your muscles tell your bones what to do. I shake your hand, I wave at you, I swing a golf club, I ride a horse, I stand up. Muscles moving bones. So if the chiropractor gets you in proper alignment and the bones are where they need to be, but there's no muscular engagement along with that, you may feel good for 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, but sooner or later those muscles don't know how to function in that new position. They're going to pull you right back to where you were, to where they know how to work. So muscles tell your bones what to do. Kind of the difference between us and chiropractors. If you found a good chiropractor, I actually refer out to chiropractors. Robin's Chiro is literally right next door to me. And he and I share a ton of clients. I think it's great. When I don't want to work that hard, I'll refer you out. Did that answer it?
No.
Okay.
What does the chiropractor do, or what do you do different than the chiropractor?
We give you the muscular engagement. We give you the exercises, the stretches, the arm circles, the elbow curls, the standing overhead extensions so that your weight changes in your feet. You've made a body alignment, a realignment. A bodily adjustment. You did arm circles, elbow curls, standing overhead extension, and the weight distribution in your feet was completely different, and you could fire your glutes differently. That is muscles telling bones what to do. The exercises to help recreate or re-implement muscle memory. Muscles have an amazing memory. They shouldn't be working here. They just don't remember how to work here. That's what we do. We get the muscular engagement to move the bones.
Yeah, the chiropractor doesn't do that. The chiropractor is, when he's adjusting your spine, there's gases in your spine. That's the popping noise. And so he's aligning the bones. But if you go to the chiropractor, you feel great, you get back in the car, you sit, you drive home, then you go back to your PC and you sit, and you're sitting like this all day. See, that's my biggest challenge right now, is I sit in this position all day long without moving. Well, your muscles are freezing in this position, right? Your shoulders are, so when you stand up, now you're walking around like this. If you stand up, Scott. Look at how your hands are positioned. Look down at your hands. Your hands should not be like this. If you go to a chiropractor, he might straighten you a little bit, but what you need is your back muscles need to pull you back like this. Mm-hmm. Your hands should be positioned like this beside you, all right? What he's going to do is give you exercises based on your posture, because everyone's different, and by the way, your posture constantly changes. So like right now, I might be having a challenge in my hip. I was having it in my knee. Sometimes it's, just something you're doing, and it's kind of like your body's a living organism. You got to constantly adjust it. So he's going to get these muscles up here to remember how to pull back. I'll give you an example. John's got me doing one exercise. I'm up against the wall. I've got a foot out like this, and I'm going over like this to kind of fire these hip muscles. I can do it in this side all day long. This side, my hand is trembling, and my muscle and my blood flow, my hand goes numb. Why the hell is that? It doesn't make any sense. It's because it's re-engaging muscles. When my hand is shaking like this, it's because my muscles in my back and my hip are being forced to work, and you'll feel yourself literally shaking. I'm sitting in a position.
It's really fun to watch.
You're sitting on the floor. I'm kid you not. I'll show you. I'm sitting on the floor, straight up like this, my feet in front of me, clamping down on my legs like this, and all of a sudden my legs will start doing this. Literally and why is that? They'll start jumping around. Because it's engaging muscles that have not been engaged. They've fallen asleep because I'm sitting all day. So his exercises, when you do them every day, it reawakens those muscles and starts to get your body back into normal functional alignment, where a chiropractor, you go see him once a week, and I see both. I do both.
Absolutely.
It's not an either or. Mm-hmm. What I say is, own your body. Like John was saying, we're not made to be dysfunctional. There's nothing wrong. Your body is mechanically, they say, oh, you're old, oh, you're this. You start going to a doctor and he tells you you're old and there's no hope for you and you got to have surgery. Get rid of that damn doctor. There's nothing wrong with you. Your body can heal itself. You've got to get out of the way. You've got to remove the thorn. It's like you get a thorn in here and they go, okay, we'll give you medicine to stop the pain and we'll bandage around it and we'll do all this. Well, pull the damn thorn out. That's the problem. And the problem is your muscles are just not in alignment.
And if you guys go to your doc and he says you got knee pain because you're old, I want you to ask him how old your other knee is.
Exactly. Okay? So does that help put it? It's specific. And the other thing, okay, here's another thing, because a lot of my aerobics classes, people are like, you're moving and stuff like that. All right. So, try and, if your joints are in normal functional position, you should be able to do a squat like this with no problem. Now, I have dislocated my knee at least a dozen times. There is absolutely no reason why I should be able to do full body squats, pistol squats, all these things. And even like the doctors, when they see me do stuff, they're like, it's amazing. And that's because my muscles are in balance.
And no ACL, right?
And I have no ACL, yeah. So, and I can do all those things because if your muscles are in alignment, it's not the damage to the knee. Your body will sort of compensate it. It'll balance itself out, but you got to give it the opportunity to. If you're naturally in this position and you try and do like a shoulder raise, that's why you can't do it, because you're forcing this shoulder to work in a position that it's not supposed to be meant to work in. If you were back here naturally, this would be the easiest thing in the world. But you're like this, and now you're lifting weights, and you're like, oh, that's why it hurts. I can't do it. And it's not because you can't do that exercise, because the body you're bringing to that exercise can't perform it. Does that make sense? Does that help?
She's not only a good teacher, she's a good student, too.
Yeah, well, I've read the books. I've read the book. To me, it makes common, perfect sense. When I read this, I was like, why are they don't have the doctors telling us this stuff? Why is it modern? And you know why? Any guess why? Why they don't want you to? Why they don't study this stuff? Almost all medicine today is driven by pharmaceuticals. If they can't give you a pill, then they don't tell you about it. And that's the honest to God truth. If you go to a surgeon, what's the surgeon going to want to do? He's going to want to cut, right? Because that's how he fixes things.
Now, Egoscue didn't say that.
Right. That's me saying it.
There's a lot of good docs. There's a lot of good surgeons. I don't believe they got into the business to be butchers. You know, Robin, potentially, she may have very much needed knee surgery. Some of you with knee replacements, hip replacements, I'm not saying don't have them, but we can't just change the bald tire. We got to, you know, she phrased it perfectly. We got to reawaken the muscles and remind those muscles that they have a job to do. No different than an employee sleeping at their desk. You know, wake them up, tell them they got a job to do.
Okay, go.
I was basically just going to say everything you just said, but because I go to a chiropractor and I work with John, and I go to the chiropractor and he does one adjustment and you're done. But John actually empowers you to manage your own pain. He gives you the exercises so you can do it based on your specific body, and you can manage it yourself versus going in and getting an adjustment.
Right.
That was it.
And that's a great point. And to speak to that, the last time Jack Nicklaus was really competitive in a major was the early 90s at the British Open. And Pete and Jack have worked together for decades. Jack has missed one day of his exercises since Thanksgiving Day of 1988. We just did an interview with him last year at the Honda Classic down in Florida. And Jack will tell you the last time he was competitive was at the British Open in 91, 92. And he was on the driving range pre-round, and his back spasmed. He calls Pete. It's like 2 in the morning in San Diego. He calls Egoscue. Oh, man, hey, you know, back spasm, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. Pete goes, do this, 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 and this. Finish your round, and we'll talk later. And that was the last time he was competitive. So Andrea said it really well. We empower you. If you're on the fairway, or the 14th fairway playing around a golf, and your shoulder starts to tighten up, you don't have your chiropractor. You don't have your acupuncturist, your massage therapist right there with you to go, oh, well, hey, buddy, just lay it on the table. Let's take care of you. But you have the exercises where you can do them in the moment. That's been huge for me. I do triathlons. I do adventure racing. That's been huge for me. I used to play baseball, then that was just way too much running.
That's good, Brian.
I can really relate to what you're saying here, so thanks for sharing this, Robin. Thanks for bringing them in. I've had posture issues for most of my adult life. My former acupuncturist called it computer neck.
Okay.
And been to chiropractors. Probably every 3 to 6 months, I get my acupuncture fix.
Yep.
Pain goes away, but 2 days later, it's all back.
Yep.
So it's all just treating the symptom and not the source. So my question for you is twofold. First of all, are there Egoscue clinics in the Washington, D.C. area?
Yes.
Amanda says yes. Okay. And secondarily, do you have to buy a package, or can it be a one-off a la carte type session? Good
questions. Arlington, Virginia.
Thank you.
Kind of the D.C. area. I know with traffic, it's a nightmare. Oh, I know. Yeah, but getting there is a different question. Yeah, we do have, we have one in Arlington. And second question was, can you do one-off? Do you have to buy a package? You can. I don't recommend it. Our individual sessions are $250. I'm going to tell you spend $15 on the book because it's a process. If you're going to be a one and done, I'd rather you save your money because you didn't get into this position overnight. This is something you've been seeing experts, health practitioners for years, if not decades.
Right. So I'd be continuing the same pattern by just going on a one-off and not fixing the problem. So
right.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's going to be a lifelong commitment. I mean, you're not going to.
It certainly can be.
Yeah, and it's not hard. The exercises aren't hard, but your body changes. Different things are going to crop up. I'll also warn you, sometimes like this will be fixed, and then as it's getting fixed, something else will crop, and it's your body kind of unwinding. Like I remember that there was one Thanksgiving, I called him, and all of a sudden I woke up, it was like, and I was doing my exercises for something else. I think it was like a foot pain, I forget what it was. And all of a sudden, man, sciatic pain was like, wham! And I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? And he's like, just keep doing the exercises, and within 24 hours, it was just my body repositioning. So you have to understand that you're gonna start waking up muscles that you've never used before, and it is a process. It's not gonna be something you're gonna do once.
And I may have to sign up for a twofer because my wife just came down with sciatica like a month or two ago, and she's had massive pain.
Bear.
So
yeah, it's brutal.
Two new clients.
It's brutal. But to speak to that, what were you saying? Oh, about the older injuries. We get a lot of that. A guy comes in going, man, John, my knee feels great. My back is freaking killing me. I haven't had back pain since high school. Cool. We're starting to unwind your body. The back pain came way before the knee pain did. So that was the precursor. That was your body back as an 18-year-old going, Joe? Red flag. Something's not quite right.
So 3 quick questions from the people in the virtual feed. One of them from Australia, Maria, is maybe a stupid question, but is it only for people with sports injuries, or can it help with things like older people with arthritis in the knee?
Great question, Maria. Not just for sports injuries. Actually, if I'm being honest, our athletes pro athletes in particular make up about 2% of our clientele. We do get some recreational athletes, weekend warrior type people, but the vast majority, I would say well over 60%, 70% are just folks who don't really have any athletic aspirations. They may not have an athletic bone in their body, and that's okay, but they hurt. They hurt nonetheless. The postural imbalance has led them to pain. So absolutely, and Maria, we can hook up on Skype because we do not have any clinics in Australia as of yet.
And then Jennifer Holmes is asking, for the 8-session deal, what's the intended outcome? Do you learn exercises to help you maintain a correct posture, or what should be the result out of those 8 sessions?
The ultimate result is, Jennifer, to give you peace of mind, that you're not broken. We want to eliminate your pain, but we also want to empower you, just like Andrea said, give you control of your health, put control of your health back in your hands.
And then the last one from Kayla is she's asking this for her husband, is that can it work with to solve major knee issues? Her husband has had 2 meniscus surgeries in the past 3 years.
Do they live in Tennessee or Kentucky?
No, Missouri.
Okay, good. We don't have to shoot him. Because that's pretty rampant around here. Missouri's right on the fence. Yeah, we see, we have for years become people's kind of last hope. All my eggs are in the Egoscue basket. I've tried everything. I've exhausted everything else. So absolutely. I can say it's certainly not going to hurt, but he's most likely going to be able to facilitate a change. Absolutely.
Okay, guys, here's one. We're like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
if you don't mind, John's going to be here.
Yep.
And he's going to be out back there. So if you don't mind, we just want to keep, we're 15 minutes beyond. So we want to take a quick break. Okay, see how fast we can do the break. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, John. And be quick and then come back, all right? Yeah, well, and get your book, guys. If on the break, come up and grab a book.